the secret to overcoming life's hardest trials. And so there's really one secret, but there's a couple different ways you can do this secret. Okay. So one secret, a couple different ways you can do it. Today, I'm going to talk about the secret to overcoming life's hardest trials. Here it is. Ask better questions. Ask better questions. I thought the best thing to do for this topic, because some of you are going through some hard trials or you've been through some hard trials, loss, I look at death. Okay. So let's just jump right there, right? What's the hardest trial? The hardest trial is the death of a child, probably the death of a spouse, death of a parent, right? And so if you see death as the end, then yeah, man, that's really tragic, right? We just die, we rot in the earth. There's no purpose. There's no creator. It's interesting. I heard Myron Golden. I don't know if it's his original, but I heard Myron Golden say, to think that a big bang created all of this, all of the perfect symmetries of trees and nautilus shells and the tides, like just one big bang just created all this, is like thinking that an explosion at a Ford plant could make a whole bunch of F-150s land in the parking lot. Like, I think that's a pretty good analogy, I think. You guys like that one? Do you like it? And so I think if you think death is the end, then yeah, that is tough, man. That's really tough. But I just don't believe that. I believe there's a creator. I don't understand how all the things would work in our world if there wasn't an artist, if there wasn't a designer. I just don't understand it. I don't understand. Science has shown us that if our gravitational pull was just one millisecond different, like we'd all be like flying off the planet, or we all be sucked into the planet. It's just, the orbit around the sun is so perfect that if it was just 1 degree off, we'd all be like, it'd be so different, right? And so who did that? A Big Bang? Big Bang did that? I don't know. I think, the arguably the hardest trial is the death of someone, right? The death of someone close. And sometimes, unfortunately, the death of someone is the death of another person. I've seen it where, someone, close to someone dies, and then that person pretty much dies too. I look at Jess's grandparents, right? Jess's grandparents, they were married, I think 60 years or so. And, he died, and I think it was either 3 or 6 months to the date later, she died. Okay, I can kinda, get that. They were both of them rough health, both of them advanced in years. I can kinda get that. But sometimes you see someone die and the person that's left behind has kids, has responsibilities still, and, it's not quite that situation. And so if you think death is the end, then yeah, I get it. That's a really, really hard trial. I just think that if you truly believe in a creator, you shouldn't fear death. And if you truly believe in a creator, you shouldn't think that it's over for that person. Now they're just going to rot in the ground and worms are going to eat them. And, because I just don't believe that we're our body. I think we're a soul with a body. Who agrees? Who agrees? We're probably going in a different direction than you thought we would. But let me give you some examples. I'm going to give you 3 different examples, okay, that I think will help you. One, now this was before I came to God, but it was a challenge, okay? Our finances were just off, and this was, I don't remember the exact year. Yeah, I'm not sure the year, but our finances were off, and we couldn't figure it out. And Jess, just by chance, happened to log into the payroll software, and she saw something that didn't make sense, and come to find out, our financial controller had stolen $60,000 from us. And she had done it in these little, monthly units of reimbursements, right? So there was, some months she was reimbursing herself $1,000. Sometimes it was a couple $1,000, and it counted as reimbursements. So we didn't see it, right? Because we were relying on her to run the payroll, right? And so when we confronted her, we're like, hey, maybe we're crazy here, but it looks to me like you've been pulling additional money through reimbursements and stuff, and like, are we seeing this wrong? Because we still couldn't really believe that she would do that. She'd been to our house, we had supported her kids and their charities, like hadn't mistreated her to our knowledge. And she goes, yeah, you got me. And we're like, what? Like that was a response. I'm like, that's a crazy response. You got me. Like she just ate the last bit of ice cream. She just, stolen the last muffin in the refrigerator. It was $60,000. And so we're like, okay, well, you have young kids. We don't want to see you go to jail. And so we worked out a deal for her to repay us. But the first questions I asked, now, was there a minute of anger? Yeah, there's probably about a minute of anger. It's about a minute of anger. And then it moved from anger. Now, this is before I knew God. Okay. So I had about a minute of anger, and then it went to gratitude, because the truth is she could have wiped us out. She could have taken every dime we had and went to Mexico or wherever one goes. Right. And so it went minute of anger to gratitude, like, "Phew, could have been worse." See, how many people even make that jump? See, some people stay so angry at the trial, at the issue, at the situation, they never realize could have been worse. But that's a healthy jump. And then I started asking questions. Okay, the first questions I asked was, did we treat her right? And I kind of like in my mind, I'm just like thinking, did we shoot her down? Did we like reject her? Were we mean to her in some way? Did we deserve this in some way? Were we asking for it? Is there ways we could have treated her better? I do the, self-reflection, like, okay, could we have done something differently or better? Did we mistreat her? Did we have this come in? And I couldn't come up with any answers around that, but I at least asked the question. Some people will never ask that question. Some people that, yesterday, again, I was on the, Date Your Wife podcast, right? And they talked about very specific situations where the mom with young kids, and there's such turmoil in the house and such identity issues that one of them cheats, and that's very, very common, right? And so does the other person ask, hey, was I paying enough attention? Was I present enough? Et cetera, whatever. So we asked the self-reflection questions, right? Then I said, okay, how do I prevent this from happening? How do I have better systems? And we implemented better systems, right? So it just can't happen today. And we moved on. We moved on. I'll give you a second one. This happened 29 days ago, right? So 29 days ago, I wake up and I've done a lot of my morning routine, and I'm about to go read my Bible, and I go look and I refresh my YouTube channel, and it gone. My YouTube channel that I've been building for years and years and years, probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 years, something like that. And millions of views, hundreds of thousands of dollars that I'd invested in this through video editors and, and different things. And some of those we still have, but some of the videos we have saved elsewhere. But, so I see it gone, and it pops up the button. Do you want to appeal the, shutdown, right? Because my YouTube account was shut down. Do you want to appeal the shutdown? And so, I see that, and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to pray about it yet. I didn't get mad. There wasn't a minute of anger at all. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to pray about it yet. Let me do my daily Bible, and then I'll pray about it. And so I go, I do my routine, do my daily Bible. I got a couple Bibles that I read from, and I come back in and I pray about it. And I'm like, notice, the difference. Okay. So the 60K stolen, I asked myself the questions, right? Just like, hey, Ray, did you treat her well? Could you have done something differently? Here, I ask for God's will. And so I get into prayer and I pray, Lord, am I appealing it? Because I already know he wasn't surprised by the shutdown. He didn't say, oh my goodness, they've shut down Ray's account. Now, I'm not saying he shut it down, but what was meant for evil, God will always use for good. Okay. And so I pray, and I'm like, Lord, are we appealing this? I didn't pray, Lord, did you mean to shut that down? Like I didn't, because he wasn't surprised by it. There's no reason to pray that. I'm like, Lord, am I appealing it? And I had a feeling that we weren't. And I got, no. Okay. Am I starting a new one? Yes. Okay. What's it to be around? Sales. I'm like, And at first I thought, okay, I'm only going to talk about sales. And at first I wasn't hip to that. I wasn't excited about that. But Isaiah 55:8-9 says his ways are higher than our ways. And what's interesting, I had this discussion with my business partner, Dion, yesterday, and that is a lot of people are afraid to lose themselves to God. But what I found is the more you lose yourself to God and go after his will, strangely, the more you actually gain of your true self. Now, that's not true of other humans. If I lose myself to my wife, right? And I love her, she's amazing. But if I say, "Oh, babe, you tell me what I should be doing. Babe, you lead all my ways. Babe, how do you think I should be? What do you think I should train on?" And I lose myself to my wife or anyone else, a coach or a mentor or whatever, then I am actually losing myself. But when I lose myself to God and say, "Your will above mine, your will above my desires, because your ways are higher than my ways. So let me just lose myself to your ways," then I actually find myself. So he actually directed me in a path that very quickly I'm like, "Oh, I really like this." This kind of hones me in to come up with new ways to sell things and new ways to teach how to sell things. So the more I lose myself to him, unlike anyone else, the more I actually gain of myself, my true self. So it was amazing. And I know it's tiny but mighty, right? So we've gained like 500 or so subscribers to the new YouTube channel, which isn't killing it or anything. I love it. It's so congruent. It's so good. It's so good. And I just love the aim. And I just love what we're doing. My buddy's been doing amazing video editing over there. People are like, "Dude, what are you doing for editing?" Because it's awesome. Like it's amazing. By the way, that 8, 9 years of YouTube, there was a lot of stuff on there that I no longer agree with. I came to Christ 2.5 years ago. There's a lot of stuff on there that I taught over the years that there's no way I could go through it with a fine tooth comb and say, "Okay, keep that, leave that." And so it gives me a fresh start. I think most people, if they had their YouTube channel or media channel or whatever that they had dropped hundreds of thousands of dollars in to build and it got shut down, that would be a hard trial, I think. Wasn't a hard trial at all. Wasn't a hard trial at all. Okay. Last is, and I definitely wouldn't consider this a hardest trial, but it was opportunity. It was an opportunity to ask different questions. And so I talk about this in my book, Faith Driven Wealth, which if you're resonating with this, you would definitely resonate with the book. If you love God but struggle with finances, this will help. Or if you are worried about losing the money that you have made, this book will absolutely help. Okay, Faith Driven Wealth. And I'm honored. Mr. John C. Maxwell wrote the foreword to it, and he's just incredible. And so this last one I do talk about in the book, I think. I'm pretty sure. Maybe this happened after the book. I'm not sure now. You'll have to tell me, those of you who've read it. And so I don't. I've certainly read it, but I don't remember if it's in the book now. And so I transfer a pretty substantial amount of money from two different accounts, my bank account. And so I request the transfer. It's a few $100,000, and they tell me, "Oh, you should have it Friday, latest Monday." I'm like, "Okay, great, no problem." And so Friday comes, Monday comes, Tuesday comes, money gone, not in my bank account. And so now the old me would have been on the phone on Monday. "Hey, what you said the money, right?" I would have been on it, right? So, Tuesday comes, Wednesday comes, and I think it may have been Thursday. The money's gone, not in my bank account. And I'm like, And so instead of going to the bank, I go to source, right? I go to God and I pray and I'm like, "Lord, do I need to call about this money?" No. And then I had to ask the tough question, "Lord, am I going to get the money?" Because if that's a no, then I got to be like, "Okay, all right, we'll figure it out. No problem." But I get a yes. Yay. And so, yes. Okay, great. That's good news. And so a week goes by, 2 weeks goes by, 3 weeks goes by. Again, money gone, not in my bank account. 3 weeks. And so I pray one more time, "Lord, do I need to call? Do I need to do anything?" No. Okay. All right. 3 weeks and one day, they reach out to me and say, "Hey, we just need your authorization to release this money." Makes no sense at all. I'm like, "Okay, sure. Yeah. Yeah." So boom, it comes. Now, God is so good that he didn't just give me the result like I wanted. You need to know that. When you're facing a trial, I know you didn't want that trial. I know you don't want a lesson. You want a result. But God is so good that he'll notice the chinks in your armor and he'll look to fix those chinks in the armor every opportunity he can, because his nature is to always grow you. And so when you get that rejection, you got a sales pitch, you think it's a good sales pitch, you get rejected, you have that tragedy, that diagnosis, that whatever. So he was so good. Instead of giving me the money and me not learn a darn thing, right? I wouldn't have learned anything. He grew me in peace and patience for 3 weeks. And he helped me understand, I can have peace and patience. I can operate in peace and patience when things aren't going the way I wish they were. That's really powerful. That's really powerful. So his nature is to always grow you. And so there's two ways to do this. But the absolute no bueno way, the terrible way, is to do what most people do. And that is stare at the trial, stare at the situation, just pound your fists and say, darn it, why did that happen? It's so unfair. It's so unjust. Why me? That's the absolute wrong way to handle a trial. The right way, the secret, is ask better questions. So you can ask yourself questions, or you can step into the divine and you can step into the much better answers and get into prayer and ask. And by the way, just to help some people, when I say I hear in prayer, I don't hear some external voice, James Earl Jones or Clint Eastwood or King James Version, Ray, thou shan't do, right? I don't hear any of that. It's my own inner voice, but it's words and thoughts I wouldn't use. Now, if you need help with that, I've helped a lot of you, but if you need help with that, Faith Driven Wealth does help with that as well. And I'm also happy to help you myself. If you send me a message on Instagram or Facebook, I'm happy to help you with a two-step process that I have. People that are struggling with trials, if you just helped them to learn what I taught in here, to ask better questions, it could really, really help them. It could save them years and years of just beating themselves up or feeling like a victim, and have them move into a new direction. So feel free to tag someone. There's probably someone on your heart right now that would benefit from this. Tag them. Feel free to share this with your team or organization if you wish. And so I hope this was helpful. And so God bless you. God bless your family. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.